What's wrong with me? I'm feeling so strung out. I'm actually legit dizzy from that. Good afternoon, my fellow monks, and welcome back to another video with the Monkey Something Sensei, and another installment of Meditation with Vinyl. As you could tell from that luscious intro, I'm of course talking about the skate punk band, hardcore punk band, metal band, Strung Out. The 90s in general was a huge melting pot of great music, and one of those genres that was so great in that entire mix was punk. Specifically, skate punk and more hardcore metal-inspired punk. And this band fits both those bills. Now, Strung Out are a punk band from California. They play punk, but they play it in a more aggressive and more metallic sort of way. They'll play shredding guitar solos, but also fast beats and poignant, powerful lyrics. And Jason Cruz has such a great vocal delivery and presence. He's definitely one of the best vocalists and frontmen in all of punk history. Now, their first album was recorded and released all the way back in 1993, 30 years ago actually, and that would be Another Day in Paradise. Now, this is obviously the debut record, but what's special about this is one of the first releases on Fat Records, which is actually Fat Mike's label from NoFX fame. Now, if you want to see a full breakdown review of this record, I'll leave that in the link down below. I actually do a pretty decent job going over that album, why I love it, why it's such a poignant debut for a band like this, and you'll get all the scoop there. But needless to say, the guys came out of the gate swinging. Population Control is great. I love Lost. Drag Me Down is amazing. I love Broken. Ashes has an insanely metal riff that leans more into the metal category of this band. And I even love the more poppier cuts on here, kind of like Lost and Broken. Mad Mad World's a great way to close the record. Now, I have this vinyl edition. The thing about Fat Records is when they would release a lot of their vinyl back in the early 2010s, they usually release a bonus track or two. And this one has 14 Days, which is a killer bonus track on here. So that's one thing I love about Fat Records. They'll always include a bonus track or two just to get your money's worth. So that record was 1993. The next record wouldn't come out until 1996, 3 years after the fact. And how did they do? Well, Suburban Teenage Wasteland Blues is often regarded as their finest album, if not their second finest album. While the first album had more rougher production, of course it was really their first album, so you can't really fault the band for that. This album fires on all cylinders from front to back, really wheeling more into the metal on this release, while still mixing in poppier moments like Solitaire being a personal favorite of mine. I love Never Good Enough. And the lyrics to Firecracker are so important and poignant to like the anti-war message and how the army can sometimes indoctrinate youth into joining by throwing like rewards in their face. It's very important, very cool song. Better Days is a great kind of, I don't want to say inspiration, it's kind of a dark song, but it's like you're always hoping for better days. They don't always come, but you're always holding out hope that they're going to. Bring out your dead with that growly vocal from Jason, and I just love the heavy metal riff on that. Again, leaning into the heavy metal side of the band. And then Rotten Apples, another speedy one. And then the closer, Wrong Side of the Tracks, another blistering cut on here. And the bonus track on this album is Jacqueline, another great kind of poppy, speedy track from them. It's a great mix between the pop and the more metal sensibilities. So yeah, great album as well. A huge step up from their debut, but I think the best was yet to come. And fans wouldn't have to wait long at all for the next release, because in 1998 we get Strung Out, their third album. We get their best album, the band's finest hour. And I'm of course talking about the amazing, classic, Twisted by Design. Now this album is the antithesis of everything the band had worked up to. There's more metal cuts on here. There's poppier cuts on here. There's some experimentation on here. There's some outright just heavy guttural moments on here. My personal favorite on here is probably the opener, Too Close to See. Like, it starts off kind of poppy with that riff, but then it just blisters into this speedy skate punk track. And then I think this album, in terms of flow, is the best. It's still punchy and weighty, but you also get crystal clear guitars. And Jim Cherry's bass on this album is just so tasty. And unfortunately, this will be the last album with Jim Cherry, because he would pass away a few years later. But in this era, these first 3 albums, he was really the driving force, the lyrical driving force of the band. Not only was he a great bass player with tasty licks, really supporting, pulling up the lead and the percussion, but he was just a great lyricist as well. And he writes half the lyrics in this band along with Jason. And you can really feel that presence. And then when he's gone, you don't really feel it. The lyrics are so great. Jason's still a great songwriter, but you're missing something when he leaves. It's almost like the Our Lady Peace scenario for those of you who like Canadian post-grunge. When Mike Turner left, something was just missing in that band, and it became the Rain Maida show, and things kind of went downhill from there. But that's a video for another day. I got a lot to say on that. This album be my personal favorite of their early era. Probably my favorite album in their entire discography. I mean, I think everything culminated on this record. Like they say, third time's the charm. Again, Ryan Green coming in and remixing all these albums for vinyl. Just, they add a nice punch. And actually, when I turn off this video, I'm probably going to listen to this record because I love this one to death so much. And again, the bonus tracks on here are also killer. I love Barfly and Ghost Town. The great B-sides. To me, Strung Out were almost like the Oasis of Fat Records, where even their B-sides could have been singles. And now, before I turn off the camera, before I end the video, I just wanted to say that these records, they sound great, but if you're looking for strictly 180 gram vinyl, you're not going to get that with these. They might have released 180 gram versions, but I wanted to get the versions that were remixed by Ryan Green because I know, owning the first one, that these sound great. And I took a gamble, and I'm glad I did because, again, these sound amazing. But if you're looking for 180 gram, that you're going to have to look elsewhere because these are like 140, 150. They're still thick, but they still wobble a little bit. But they're not warped. And when you put them on that turntable, everything just comes right through. So now, if you're in the market for any of these albums, my recommendation is to go on the Fat Records website. They have basically every release from all the bands that are signed to the label, including NoFX, Lagwagon, Strung Out, countless other bands. I think Anti-Flag, some of this stuff's on there. So if you're really into punk, and even, Bad Religion too, forgot to mention Bad Religion, some of their albums are also on Fat Records, but you can also get them on Epitaph as well, which is another video for another day. But Fat Records is where I bought these from. Some of these come with download cards too, which I don't use. I don't use those because I use everything on my phone. I have Spotify, but if I want to listen to the vinyl, obviously buy the vinyl too. And one thing about Fat Records that I really like is that they do payment plans. So they use Shop Pay or Klarna. I think it's Shop Pay. So I got all these 3, or I got these 2 here, and Lagwagon's Trash, which is actually right behind me, for like $60, and I paid them off with like a little bit of financing. So if you want to get a bunch of records at a time, but you don't have the huge cash to drop on them, then Fat Records got you back. And if you haven't yet checked out this band, please check out Strung Out. These guys are amazing. Even if you're not a big fan of punk, but you like metal, I would still check these guys out. I mean, the culmination of the way they blend genres together, it's so good. You know, like how Rush would always incorporate reggae in the early 80s, or like Rage Against the Machine incorporated hip-hop and rock. Like, it's like to that caliber. The way these guys blended everything together. They're just so seamless. And they're one of the best bands to do that. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel like, oh, we got to make another genre mix album. You know, it's almost like Data Remember's early stuff before they really started to separate it. Like, for those who have Heart and Homesick, those first 2 records, it's like that. Definitely like that era. But Strung Out were able to keep doing it throughout their whole career. And as I'm talking right now, they're actually in the studio producing a new record. And I cannot wait to hear the first single off of that. I cannot wait to hear the whole album. I'm super hyped for that release. And if it comes out this year, it's going to be one of my most hyped albums for 2023. In a year, it's already stacked to the gills with excellent releases. But anyway, that's going to do it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed my video, my little rant, my smoltzing all over one of my favorite sort of underground 90s bands, Strung Out. If you like what you see, hit that like button. Swing on over to that subscribe button to join our Musical Monk family. Hit that bell notification so they'll be notified when I upload a new video to the channel. Don't forget to listen to Rush. And for all my fellow monks out there, don't forget to keep meditating with vinyl.